All right, cool. Unfortunately, it looks like we're gonna have a little bit of an issue to start off. We're trying to get a hold of Bruce. Bruce is traveling and he did not set he's usually the host and we don't have a, I guess you could say, sub host right now. So we're trying to work on that in the interim. Um, but I want to welcome everybody tonight. Of course, fate would have it that the last last session we'd have for the year went unscathed, and we're gonna have a little bit of tough. Uh, Keith Eater, could you mute, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Fate would have it that we have a little bit of technological difficulties because we don't have a host to show anything. So we'll try and work around it for a bit. But I wanted to thank everybody.
Organize these fucking things.
Yeah, no, you're not muted. So let me know what you need to say.
I feel like life is so complicated because I have right now.
Hey, Scott, if I could just chime in real quick.
Go
Almost
ahead.
everybody is unmuted from what I see. There are a lot, or not almost everybody. There are a lot of folks that are not muted.
How you
Please
doing?
check to make sure you're muted. And it's me, David Parfait, David Hanson, David Visconti, Dale Hawk, just to name a few. There are a lot of folks that are not muted.
This is a little weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Like, tell me what things that you want to say. And then
Yeah, I know we got a message. The next person that isn't muted, kick them off. We don't even have the ability to kick them off because we don't have a host. We don't have host privileges. Sorry about that.
Hey, Scott and Steve, this is Dave. I think a lot of people don't know how to mute themselves. So maybe you explained it a little bit. They have to put their mouse near the bottom of the screen. It'll come up, mute.
Lower left-hand corner is a microphone. Please go down there and mute. Just hit the mute button. Lower left-hand corner on your screen.
That's your idea of like a relationship.
I don't know. I've never had one.
Last one to do it's buying. So let's see who can do it. How fast we can get this done. Mute this thing.
This comes under the category of paying attention to detail.
For all the stuff you wanted to say.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Who are these idiots?
I'm not going down that road.
Like we're getting wet today.
Yeah.
Scott, go ahead. Why don't you continue?
Okay. But I wanted to thank the individuals that have helped during the year setting these up and getting them out to the each organization. Shreve Marshall, Tom Barlow, Jim Conti, Pete in the Central Chapter, and all the presenters, Jim Kapoor, Jerry Picazio, Bob Masucci, Mike Bartram, Mark Pitar, and of course Steve Citro. And anybody I may have missed, I apologize in advance. So we're trying to get a hold of Bruce. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and tell you anything different. See if we can get that host clean so we can get it started. So a couple things here before I turn it over to Jim is that we have of course, the Sayreville the clinic, the NJFOA clinic in Sayreville on August 3rd. You can still register for that.
See both of
Up until I'm not sure the date, but I believe it's July 31st. Am I correct on that?
August 2nd.
August 2nd. My apologies. Thank you. And of course, all prior presentations that we've had during the year are available on the NJFOA YouTube channel. So again, I apologize for the technological issues tonight. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jim Kapoor.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Scott. Good evening, everyone. Scott or Steve or Dave Race, does anyone know? Just give everyone an update that's on relative to Sayreville as far as the number of people that have registered for Sayreville. Would we know that? Do we have a number on that?
privates that can for anywhere and everywhere.
We're close to 300.
Everywhere.
Okay, and in the next 2 weeks plus, maybe we'll exceed for the third straight year 300 folks, which would be great. The agenda has been finalized And if we were able to share the screen tonight, Bob Masucci would be able to show up. But at any rate, just so everybody's on the same page, check-in will start at 7:30 on RefSec, and that'll go to 8:15, and then we'll kick it off right at 8:30. And without jumping to the end of it, but you'll be out the door, or I should say you'll be eating your lunch right at 1:30. If you want to stick around like a lot of folks did last year in the cafeteria, just kind of, just talk some football or whatever. Certainly that option will be available again, but please remember 7:30 is check-in on RefSec. The 4 chapters will each have a table, and folks organizing that based on what chapter you are a member of. And then we'll start right at 8:30 in the big room. We do have some additional folks to make you aware of this year. We have a group called Alliance Orthopedics coming in. They're also going to give a 20-minute presentation. It's a group throughout New Jersey, primarily central and north New Jersey, relative to treating folks with injuries and that kind of thing, football players from various conferences. I think they have some kind of agreement with the Super Football Conference, as well as the big Central Conference, and maybe another New Jersey State high school group. At any rate, they'll be there. Dennis Helmstetler from All Sports Officials will be there. We also have a gentleman coming from Virginia who can individually fit you with an earpiece. It's not all that difficult to explain, but if you want an individual earpiece for your radio, for your 020, the gentleman's name is Jim Gear, Gear, and he owns a company called Bravo Tactical Hearing. He'll be there.
A week.
And then lastly,
20%.
Joe Zadalis, once again from NewJersey.com, NJ.com, is planning on coming. I don't know if he's bringing a photographer. I haven't been able to confirm that, but at any rate, we're always trying to improve the product, the content itself, as well as some of the ancillary pieces to the clinic. So I know I can speak for our committee. We're looking forward to it. It's been we've had a lot of meetings and prep work and stuff, but that's all part of the deal. So, and I said this last year at this very meeting, and I'd like to repeat it. We all know there's going to be a lot of folks there, but let's take time to say hello, greet folks, make them feel welcome. And I'd like to meet as many folks as possible. I recognize a lot of names, but a lot of people I don't know personally. So I'd like to shake your hand if the situation warrants on Saturday, August. So, all right, with all that said, the proposed topic for tonight was going to be referee announcements, and with or without a screen to share, just say a couple things about that. We did this last year, and I'm not sure how well over, how well, whatever, but let's just point out a couple things here. First and foremost, we know that the high school manual, the National Federation manual, does permit since 2011. Does permit.
Shut up.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who that is. Is it Edward Ferentz? Could it be? I don't know.
Dennis Mead.
Time to let go. You want to take a seat?
I didn't really. At any rate, we're trying to really emphasize that referees have got to simply accept the fact that making announcements, including the player's number, is in the National Federation manual. We also put it into the 6-man NJFOA manual. So I think it's important as referees that I mean, years and years ago, somebody told me to practice, and I would do it at home, give signals, make announcements. It sounds a little bit corny, but it really assists us in these situations. And we realize that not a lot of schools, as of now, have microphones for the referee. I think there's a few more this year than last year, but it's still largely, that's still the the exception rather than the rule. But we just have to understand it's a better game when we make announcements. The coaches, the fans, spectators, and so on. If we make good announcements, and making announcements is one thing, making good, correct, concise announcements is quite another. So again, without a screen to share here, but some of the highlights of the PowerPoint that I put together. Referees in general, let's think about whenever there's a foul, the end of the play shuts down. The first thing we've got to do is find an open area. And an open area, if we look at a football field, obviously it's huge. We've got to get to an open area. I think many times being at games in person, and sometimes if the huddle video, if the person filming the video, if it stays long enough, we tend to see referees taking too long to find an open area. And I'd like to say something that came up last year, like to reiterate it. The mentality, a good approach to penalty enforcement and microphone work for referees is to get in and out, get in and get out of penalties. Find an open area, fixate your eyes at the bottom of the press box. Some stadiums have decent sized press boxes. Other ones aren't very big, as we know, but let's try our very best to fixate our eyes to the bottom of the press box and keep your head still as you give the signal and the announcement. And whenever, even if we don't get it on tonight, certainly we'll have the PowerPoint that I created, and I tweaked it a little bit from last year. That'll be archived on, on this Zoom. So referees, you can go in and just, you can read through it. Certainly it won't be I don't know if it'll match up to what I'm saying here, but the point of it is let's make sure that, number one, we accept the fact as referees that PA announcements are here to stay. They're not going to go away. And let's also accept the fact that the better we are at it, it's a better game. It's absolutely a better game. It's a better game for the players, the coaches, and spectators. It does take some work. Last year was the first year we really tried to emphasize it. And those of you that go to the Sayreville Clinic, there's in the one breakout session, we do have a part of that will be geared exclusively towards referee announcements. So it's something we're trying to emphasize. It's something we want to continue to improve upon. And I think it's like anything else, the more you do it, and if you're doing it correctly, the better you get at it. So some other things to think about as a referee when you're making a penalty announcement, okay? Things like, say holding offense, number 71, rather than saying holding on the offense. Kind of condense it down, folks, kind of compress it. So it's holding offense, pass interference, defense, and then the player's number if you have it. If you don't have the player's number, maybe the official, we talked about this at a meeting we had the other night, some local folks. In my opinion, the very most difficult thing to get a number when you have a foul is on a face mask foul. Sometimes it's in the middle of the line. You might see the runner's head kind of get whipped around, but it's often tough to get a number. My point is, if you don't have a number, don't invent a number. If you don't have a number, don't invent a number. It's good when we have a number. And again, the Federation manual permits us to announce the player's number. And I think we decided and Bob Masucci or somebody could say, other than an ejection, we would like to have the referee announce the player's number, even if there is not a microphone in the stadium. What it shows is that we're in cruise control. It shows that we're managing and controlling the game when we give announcements. And you will find as a referee, if you tried it last year, you'll be a little better at it this year. If you didn't try it last year, you're kind of ground zero, but you'll get better at it as you do it. As I said earlier, it's like anything we do, the more you do it, the better you get. So it's really imperative that you give it a shot. Okay. And practice, like I said, practice at home. If we do it well, it's a great thing. We don't want to fall on our face with this. So does anybody have any chat comments, questions? I think there's 149 folks on here. But does anybody have any chat questions relative to announcements in general before we go on? PA,
No,
Mike,
Jim.
anyone?
Jim, there's nothing.
What's that, Steve?
We have nothing, questioning.
Okay, I got you. All right. Well, again, folks, feel free. So another thing to think about as a referee when you're making announcements is try to plan in your mind what you're going to say before you say it. If we just kind of go off the cuff, that's not the best environment to do that. And if we mess that up, it's kind of like the cat's out of the bag and it's hard to put it back in. So We want to be concise. I was taught years ago, be clear and concise in your announcements. Clear and concise. That's probably a good motto to follow. Clear and concise announcements. Again, for example, holding, offense, number 77, 10-yard penalty, replay, second down. And that's it. Holding, offense, number 77, 10-yard penalty, replay, second down. If you are confident in saying, for example, from the previous spot, or if we have potentially a foul, which is going to be a spot foul, if you're comfortable and confident in saying from the spot of the foul 10 yards, such as potentially an illegal blindside block on a punt return, the kid runs it a long way and we got to go back to the spot of the foul, that's fine. Right? If you're not, just holding, offense, number 77, 10-yard penalty, second down. So stay within yourself. But if you practice until where you feel comfortable, you have scrimmages. Scrimmages, I think, start on August the 19th. By all means, practice then. If you're doing a freshman game on a Monday or a JV game on a Monday or whatever day it would be, do it. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. But it all starts with accepting the fact that it's here to stay. And it makes for a better officiated game, a better environment. So I'd just like to think about those things, try to incorporate them into your game. I know there's a lot of referees on the call. I know there's a lot of folks with a lot of experience, and this is just going to add to your toolbox to make you a better official and to make it a better officiated football game, which I think ultimately transcends everything we're trying to do.
I wonder if we're gonna get microphones.
I think there's a question about a microphone. As I said earlier, I'm not sure who this is. I apologize. Most schools do not at this point have them, and it's something that I know I've talked to a few folks that I've gotten to know over the relatively short time I've been involved. The whole system is not all that expensive. It's just a matter of a school committing to do it. You can get a workable microphone, and you can get a sound system. Again, I'm not a financial person, but I know an AD has told me it's less than $1,000.
Which is cheap for a school.
Which, well, I don't know if it's cheap or not. I guess that varies on whatever the scenario is. But the point of it's not exorbitant. And again, I think what we need to do also as officials is try to convince athletic directors. And we do at the clinic, by the way, I forgot, I overlooked this. One of our speakers is going to be Mr. Scott Miller, who's the head football or is the athletic director at David Brearley High School. And he used to be the head football coach there. And I'm hoping that somebody in the audience will ask about that very thing. And there's Coach Miller, I still call him Coach, but he played at the University of Pittsburgh, so he's been around the block a little bit. And again, a lot of times, folks, and having dealt with ADs in college and in high school softball, which I'm pretty heavily involved with, you'd be amazed that, like, a lot of times ADs really, they don't know things that we maybe assume, or they don't realize the effectiveness of some of the things that we assume. So I think it's imperative that we get to these folks and say, hey, it would really be good. It's better for the game. It's a good thing. So try to emphasize it when you just you're out and about with athletic administrators and so on. Coaches love it because they don't have to keep yelling, who's it on, what number? Okay, coaches like it. And it's a way of settling them down. So can't overstate that, can't overemphasize it. Okay. Are these okay, so Dr. Phil Harding has a chat box comment. He's exactly right. When you make your announcement, be still. I mentioned earlier to fixate your eyes at the bottom of the press box. Be still. Don't be moving. Be athletic in your stance. In other words, feet shoulder width apart. Stand straight up and point. Lock your elbows out when you point to whatever team it is that committed the foul. If a foul's declined, which obviously most are not, but if a given foul is, give a good wipe, almost like an incomplete pass, one good solid wipe, and then go up with the number of the down it's going to be. It's second down, third down, whatever the scenario is going to be. So, Dr. Harding, you're absolutely right. Okay. There's no need to yell. There's no need to scream into the microphone. Okay. And I'm looking at the chat box. Greg Curry. Great point. Once you're done, turn the microphone off. Every now and then you'll see an NFL game or a college game, and the referee mistakenly he forgets to shut the microphone off, and sometimes language isn't it's not the best, and it's not a good optic, not a good vibe for the game. So all of this becomes referees. It all becomes a matter of routine,
I'm hanging around. I got to
a
call them.
matter of repetition. That's what it becomes. And I can assure you, if you work at it, you improve, you feel good about yourself, the crew likes it, the coaches like it, the players like it, etc. How many of you, and I know there's no way to raise your hand, how many of you saw the game last year in the NFL where a referee's making the announcement and a player walks in front of him, and I think the player was cussing if I remember correctly, and the referee said, "Excuse me, I'm talking to America." You can't believe everybody loved that. Fox loved it. ESPN loved it. Everybody loved that. Now, that's not typical or anything, but I'm just trying to point out, trying to emphasize how important announcements are. The greatest officiating tool we've ever been given is the microphone and referees' announcements. It's the greatest tool out there. And I just think it's time where we begin to really say, you know what, we're going to not only adopt this, we're going to run with it, and we're going to be better because of it. So,
Time put everything in that new bag I got.
if you're not on the speaker, okay.
Packing in the new bag I got.
So here's Jerry Picasio checks in with preliminary first after decision. Let's talk about that a little bit. It was on the PowerPoint, but so
Never mind.
really and truly, the only time, folks,
walk out with like 4 or 5 suitcases.
the only time we want to give a preliminary signal.
Somebody's microphone isn't blocked. They're talking about.
Understood. I know there's a lot of whatever, whoever it is, but let's remember this. If we have a dead ball foul, we have a false start on the right guard, number 62. We don't want a preliminary signal and then a final signal. We just want one announcement. Prior to the snap, false start, 62 offense, 5-yard penalty, replay third down, again, whatever it is. The only time we want to use a preliminary and then a final signal is on certain live ball fouls. So that's, Jerry, I'm glad you put that in the text box or chat box. Let's not overdo it. We don't need 2 announcements on a simple dead ball DOF or a simple false start. We don't need that. So think again of the words get in and out of penalties. And, somebody asked me, we were at a meeting the other night, some folks, and said, well, how do you get good at it? Well, in addition to practicing at it, watch games on TV. See how other referees make announcements. And I'm not asking anybody to become a clone, but see what other folks are doing and say, okay, I'm going to be myself, but I'm going to take something. I'm going to steal some things from there. I mean, a long time ago, Brad Allen, who I had the privilege of working with for a number of years in the ACC, he put together a thing called referees' use of the microphone. And it was a very detailed thing. And Jerry Markbright, who I've been fortunate to know, some of the ideas that I'm bringing up tonight also came from him. I mean, he was probably as good as referee as ever lived in the world, in the NFL. But at any rate, watch other referees, kind of steal some things from them. They're still, their eyes are fixated. They're not moving. And don't get emotional. I was at a game a long time ago where I was observing a crew of officials, and the referee had a very obvious, correct, roughing the passer call. I mean, the quarterback had rolled out and he just got absolutely destroyed. And the referee fired his flag down. I mean, like 100 miles an hour. And then when he gave the announcement, I think he almost broke his forearm going across his arm with the roughing the passer and pointing vehemently, number 19 on the defense. None of that is necessary. None of that is needed. None of that is good. Just personal foul, roughing the passer, number 19, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down. Do not show emotion. Even if you're thinking, if you have to eject a player, disqualify him, whatever, don't show emotion. It seems like you're rubbing it in. It's a bad optic. And if you put this whole package together, again, it makes for a better game. It makes for a better referee, and it makes for a better crew experience. Everyone can do it. Everyone can do it. Joe Belger, that we said that earlier, right? Okay, announce every penalty in every game you work. And I had the opportunity to watch Joe last year in a game at Rutgers, and I called him up a couple days later. I said, I was really impressed with your announcements. This is not rocket science, folks. If it was, maybe you all would be here, but I wouldn't. So the point is, just be yourself, but don't be emotional. Don't rub it in. If a kid just say a kid, swore at you or cussed you and you personally threw a flag for UNS, no need to scream, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 47, 15. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just have a steady, even keel. Bob Masucci uses the word dispassionate. Just, again, be unemotional. Don't rub it in. Whether you yell or just say it kind of firmly, it's still 15 yards.
Dad, your camera's on.
Doesn't change anything. So, some other thoughts that people put in here. If you're not, okay, that's thank you, Mr. John Welling, for that chat box. I'm just kind of checking around here to see if I missed anything. Okay. Can someone text Dennis? Okay. That's me. Okay. So at any rate, just peel back here a little bit now. So number one, let's accept the fact we're going to make announcements. If you've been a longtime referee, please, please, please do not have the attitude that says, I'm not changing, I'm not doing. I often quote, I steal a lot of quotes from people. Nick Saban, the just retired, phenomenal coach at Alabama and elsewhere, has a very famous saying that I've stole. I use it all the time. If you don't adapt, you die. He also says you don't need to lower the standards. If you don't adapt to changes, you die, and you die quickly. So as officials, that statement is very applicable to us. We talked in an earlier meeting, I don't know if it was way back in March or February, whenever it was, I forget, about how many of us have seen, you watch old NFL films and you see these short wing officials right next to the tight end. Nobody's even spread out. There's no split ends. The game was played in like a box, a small rectangular box within the field. Of course, those days, that ship has sailed, capsized, and can't be saved. And that certainly includes high school football. Right? I'm sure a lot of you realize this. New Jersey high school football teams can begin some type of practice on June 10th without pads and stuff, conditioning, running patterns, stuff like that. And they do it all over the state. Okay. I know some folks, cadet trainers, Dave Ray, Steve Citra, they have some meetings that is, I think it's called Immaculata High School, and they have the teams there, the coaches are there. This is in the summertime, in the late spring and into early summer. Okay. So again, it all points to the evolution of football. And if officiating doesn't evolve, we're going to forever be behind the 8 ball. This is just my personal opinion. This is me and probably me only. When I started out officiating a long time ago, I think that I was taught very well the fundamentals of officiating. And that includes at the end of a penalty where there's a foul, pop in with beep, beep, beep. I see a lot of young folks who haven't been taught that. It's not their fault. Please don't misunderstand me. But the good fundamentals, like anything else in life, if you do the little things well, you got a chance to be good at whatever it is you're doing. And as an official, we should pride ourselves on that. And in this particular situation, as referees, take pride in your announcements, just like you do with everything else. Take at the coin toss. Take pride with that. If you're on a mic, okay, captain called heads, it's heads. Your choice, sir. We want to defer. Okay, make the thing. Team red, whatever the school defers. Other team you're going to receive. You're going to start right from the get-go. But take pride in your announcements. Take pride in the fact that this is better for the game of football. And again, please do not take the approach, I never did that shit in the past, I'm not doing it now. Please, we don't. The avocation of officiating, the great avocation of officiating, does not need that mentality. We need people who love doing it. We need people who are passionate. And I realize I'm preaching to the choir. I get that. I totally get it. That's one of the things that is, to me, so refreshing about the NJFOA in general. There's a lot of folks that I've had the privilege to meet that really care about officiating and about how they're doing, taking pride in their performance. That never changes. But these things can all enhance the overall product. think in your own careers, and we have 149 people online. Think about this. If everybody did this for 1 year, that would be 149 years of experience. I'm certain we have well over 1,000 years of experience on the call tonight, but we're all still growing. We all should still be trying to improve. And this idea of referees announcements, again, it's the greatest tool we have. It's the best tool we have. So referees, I don't know how many are on, not really that it matters, but please take pride in this, try to improve at it, try to get better. Okay. And it makes a better game. It makes a better product. Let me check. Somebody just question or a comment. What about making an announcement on an unusual situation? And that whoever Zachary's on, that's a great comment to make, Zachary. The old age thing was say as little as possible. The referee's mic work has evolved a little bit now to where, let's say we have a legal quarterback grounding a pass. He throws it out of bounds beyond the sideline when he's outside the 4-yard, I erroneously call it the tackle box, but the free blocking zone. Some referees get on and say there's no foul for grounding. The quarterback was outside the tackle box, or again the free blocking zone, and the ball was thrown beyond the line of scrimmage. Personally, I don't have a problem with that. Some people do it, some don't. No manual that I've ever read said you should or shouldn't do that. So again, like I said a little bit earlier, you got to be yourself. If you feel comfortable, okay, especially if coach, oh, why are they grounding? Okay, get on. There is no intentional grounding. There is no intentional grounding. Okay, the quarterback was outside the free blocking zone, and the pass landed beyond the line of scrimmage. Think of how many problems that saves you right there by saying that. No, everybody understands. Okay, well, okay, they might not be happy, but it's a great explanation. Okay, or we have a foul downfield for offensive pass interference, but we get on the mic and we say there is no foul for offensive pass interference. The pass was caught behind the line of scrimmage. By rule, there can be no foul, something to that effect. By rule are two good words, by the way. I should have mentioned that earlier as a referee. By rule, they're two great words for referees to use during announcements. So, again, it's the best tool we have, but each referee has to have their own confidence level. Some folks will be better at than others. That's called life. That's just the way it is. But everybody can get a little bit better at it. So find your own level of comfort. Keep trying to expand that circle a little bit, and then go on from there. But all right, what else? Who else? Somebody else. Vic Simon here. A lot of it. Okay, Mike D'Ambrosio, prior to the snap as opposed to dead ball. That's fine. And in fact, what a lot of folks are saying now is you don't even give the dead ball signal unless it's after the play. No, in other words, think about this. And I don't know that we're all that hot and bothered about it in NJFOA. But if you watch a college game or an NFL game, they no longer say the words prior to the snap. They'll simply say, or I'm sorry, they'll no longer give the dead ball signal with the one hand up. They don't do that anymore. They'll just say prior to the snap, false start, number 61, 5 or whatever. On the other hand, if let's say there's a late hit, guy runs the ball, gets tackled out of bounds, somebody piles on, that's when we still give the signal, one hand up in the air, dead ball, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, number 42, 15-yard penalty, whatever. So as a referee, think about that. And if you write down these 3 or 4 things and then practice it, trust me, folks, it all kind of comes together in a circle. You build a little circle, and then that circle will get bigger. You'll feel more and more confident the more that you do it. I love what Joe Belger said. Do this in every game you work, freshman game, JV game, scrimmages, wherever the middle school, wherever you're at. That's how you get good at it. That's how you get comfortable at it. And that's how you get better at it. So, I'm looking here. Okay. Other than that, if end of a quarter, okay, it's okay to get on the mic and say the first period is over, something along those lines. That's perfectly okay. All right. If there was let's say we have a double foul in the last play of a quarter, we're going to extend the quarter. Okay, that's a good time to make the announcement. We'll have one untimed down after the offsetting fouls, or I should have said offsetting. We'll have one untimed down, whatever the scenario would be. So you can definitely use it to your advantage. Okay. Anyone, comments, thoughts, questions? Bill Young, what do you got here for us, Bill? I'm scrolling down. Let's do some examples. I don't know, Bill, have we done that? Can you text back yay or nay, or do you have anything in particular? Bill, good question here from James Eisenman. Is this something will eventually be at all high school games? I can't answer that. What we can say definitively is in 2011, now it's 13 years ago, the National Federation permitted the referee to announce the players' numbers. Frankly, I don't think we really found that in our in the Federation manual until last year, when I think Dave Race found it as he was reading through it, if my memory serves. So, will it become commonplace? I hope so, but that's way beyond my pay grade. Make sure you stop. Good. Yep. If you have a microphone, turn it off. What else we got here, Joe? Question. It's better to inform people than not. They might like the answer, at least they know. That's John Welling. John, I happen to concur with that approach. If any of you have ever saw an individual named Sean Hockley, who is the son of Ed Hockley, Sean's an NFL referee as well now. He makes announcements sometimes 3 or 4 plays in a series, depending on what's happening. Other referees don't. And I know I'm pretty good friends with Sean, known him for a long time, and he believes more is better. A lot of referees believe less is better. I think each individual referee should decide what's best for you based on your own, as I said, confidence level, that kind of a question, or that kind of a situation. Is someone asking something, or all right, we have some referees on here tonight. Maybe we'll put some folks on the spot. Scott Campbell, you have any thoughts relative to, if you could just put one thought for everybody here, whether it's something that was mentioned or not, could you add or just reiterate or reemphasize something that came up here tonight?
Well, Jim, you covered pretty much a lot of it, but the real, I guess you could say, the real standard to keep by is when you're doing your announcements is the old KISS theory. Just keep it simple. And I don't want to use stupid, but just keep it simple. Remember who your recipients are that are hearing your announcement, and not everybody wants to hear official jargon. So, and just make sure that you're not moving, you're clear and concise, and that obviously the coaches understand what is being announced. So pretty much that.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Dave Race, I'm going to put you on the spot, Dave. Can you add or reiterate or reemphasize anything that came up tonight?
No, I think you covered it pretty well tonight. It's just a matter of referees getting into the flow, and the way to make a penalty announcement only comes with repetition and doing it on the field, even though you may not have a mic. But just keep doing it like you do have a microphone. But you basically covered the basics of penalty announcements, or when to use the mic on non-penalty announcements.
Okay. How about Bill Young? I see Bill on the call. Bill, any thoughts to reiterate or add that we may have overlooked that that you've used or you've seen on other guys on TV or whatever?
Hey, Jim and everybody else. I did post a question. How much of the coin toss should be on the PA? The entire thing, or maybe just the results, or what do you recommend on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. If you have a mic that's working, Bill, okay, I would personally, I think it's okay. Captain, sir, here's your head, here's your tail. What are you going to call? And the kid says, I'm going to call tail. Okay, please repeat that so we have no misunderstanding. I like that, Bill. I think it sets the tone right from the beginning, okay, for everybody in the stadium. And I think it also kind of coaches like, hey, these guys kind of know what they're doing a little bit here. I think one of the great things, if we make good announcements, the dividends that it pays are far more than we realize. Coaches, look, we could spend the rest of our lives discussing coaches and their behavior, but coaches like it when officials take control of the game. They don't want dictators, and they shouldn't, because that ship has kind of sailed. But they do like officials who are not afraid to take control. And when you think about it, Bill, you have a really good question. You know, when we flip the coin, I mean, hey, it's showtime at that point in time. All right, we're ready to
Also,
go.
like the umpire repeating the call as well.
So if the kid calls heads, we want the umpire to repeat that so there's no misunderstanding. That was the old Thanksgiving Day game with an NFL referee named Phil Lockett. When I think it was an overtime game, they're flipping a coin in overtime, and it might have been Jerome Bettis when he was with the Steelers. I think he said like something like Ted's or Hales, and there was a big thing about it. That's where that kind of became commonplace. So if the captain says, I'm going to call heads, I always used to say, please repeat that. And I love it when the referee or the umpire said he's calling heads. That way there can be no misunderstanding. And again, it sets a good tone for the game. I think
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, no, good question, Bill. Thanks. Rob Ridarelli, I think you're on if I saw your name. So Rob, do you want to add anything or reemphasize anything we might have said tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you did a great job covering everything, Jim. A couple things I thought of is maybe, when we announce penalty is declined, not, like foul is refused, make sure we use like the right statements like that. Maybe like there's no foul on the play rather than there's no flag on the play. What else?
That's
Fouls
fine.
offset, fouls offset, not penalties offset. You just maybe like just using that correct language.
Yeah. Well, and now that you bring that up, we had a meeting the other night, not too long ago. One of the things that's pretty neat was if you've ever taken the rule book and just looked up the definition of a penalty versus a foul, they're two distinct different things. And we were at a meeting the other night, and the analogy I created was you're driving your car, 80 miles an hour. Okay, that's the foul. The penalty is the monetary speeding ticket that the police officer gives to you. But if you read the rule book, a penalty and a foul are two different things. The penalty is the foul is a false start. The penalty is the 5 yards that the team is, penalized on. So, can you?
Hey, Bruce, or Jim?
Jerry Picasio, I think I saw your name here, Jerry. You have anything you might want to, add or whatever, keep saying, reemphasize?
Yeah, you kind of stole my thunder. I was going to say, yeah, if the referee makes the announcements in a clear and precise manner and efficiently, and goes and gets the game moving again, that speaks volumes of what people think of you and your crew. It just elevates everything to where, hey, these guys really know what they're doing. Okay. And there's many games, all the referees, I would say 98% of the time we do not have a microphone. Okay. So if you have a chance and the foul in your area where you can announce the foul, I'm not saying you want to do this all the time, but if you can get kind of a little bit closer, say to the sideline or a home team where there's more fans in that area, that maybe they can hear you if you have a voice that, some people don't have loud voices, some people do, but it's where that maybe some people can hear you. Okay. And again, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And there's no question about that.
We certainly can't. Thank you, Jerry. We certainly would be remiss. Bob Masucci, anyone who uses the word like dispassionate deserves his day in the sun here. So, Bob, what do you have for us to add or whatever.
Sorry, didn't mean to use that word.
But all right.
One thing you mentioned earlier about finding a spot when you make an announcement. I think the important thing is to not come running over to the press box sideline to make an announcement. All you've got to realize is that if you can see the press box, they can see you. So just clear yourself from the players. Even if you're on the opposite hash mark or in the opposite side zone, you can still give your signals. And if you're mic'd, make your announcement. You don't have to come running over to the press box side.
Well said. I don't know. I'm getting some text here. I don't know. Steve Citro has by any chance Bruce given you access?
No, I have not gotten the access yet, but I do have a question.
Sure.
I was fortunate enough to be mic'd up for a game last year, and I found it very difficult hearing myself on a delay to do my announcement without stuttering. If I started saying delay of game, by the time I finished delay, I was hearing it back. Any advice for working with the PA system?
Speak slow. It's still going to overlap a little bit, and you just get used to it. If you do it a lot, Steve, it becomes like second nature. Now, not every stadium system has that, but a lot do. But I think what we tend to do when that happens, we hear like an echo. We think by speaking faster, it's going to be, we think it's going to be better. It's probably you want to pull it back. I don't know if that's available, but it's possible. But that's a good question.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
It's Bob. I know exactly what you mean. I had the same problem the first time I was mic'd at a big venue. And what's happening is you're looking for your what I would call oral, AURAL, like what you're hearing. So you're looking for that feedback to come from the PA. Look for it to come from your own voice. Just concentrate on your voice and don't listen to the PA. That helps a great deal.
Okay, yeah. So I talked to a friend who does a lot of PA announcing. He basically said the same thing. Just keep speaking as you normally would. In the moment, Jim, I took the advice you just gave. I just started slowing down a little bit so I could be smooth through my delivery, and that helped me. Obviously, it was the first time doing it. If I did it a couple of times, I'd be more proficient at it.
Yeah, you use your voice to cue you rather than the PA feedback to cue you.
Right. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
John Welling, we're going to go to you, and then I'm going to wrap this up with a kind of humorous story that Jerry Markwright is fond of telling. But John Welling, if you're still on, John.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, it's better to communicate as much as you can to clear up any misunderstandings. I think fans really appreciate that. I think all of us have watched enough sports, whether it's football, baseball, what have you, and we're always wondering what the umpires, the referees were thinking about out on the field. And I just think it puts us in a better light when they have a better understanding of what we came up with on the field.
Unquestionably. So before we wrap this up, I'll tell you a story. I'm sure a lot of people on the call know the name Jerry Markwright, who is probably the most living recognized NFL official. He retired a number of years ago, but until recently he was still like an NFL referee trainer, as they call him. At any rate, Jerry Markwright is fond of telling this story. When he first came into the NFL, he was a line judge, and his referee was one of the all-time greats, a guy who was from Louisville, Kentucky. He was an attorney named Tommy Bell. And when the NFL first began to give referees microphones, Tommy Bell was kind of like the guy, all right? And he was very articulate, extremely well-spoken. And in Jerry Markwright's first NFL preseason game ever, if I remember correctly, it was in Kansas City. And this is going back, folks, probably into the 1980s. And Tommy Bell told him, Jerry, no matter what you do on a foul, the first thing you better get me is I need that player's number. And Jerry Mark said, Tommy, I got it, no problem. I'm good. I'm all this and that and everything. Well, sure enough, I guess they're in the second quarter. And Jerry Markwright's first flag ever as an NFL official, as a line judge, was defense offside. So the play is run. Jerry Markwright has a flag. The end of the play, Tommy Bell goes to him, okay, Jerry, who do you got? And sure enough, Jerry Markwright, oh, Tommy, I'm so sorry. He said, I didn't get his number. I mean, believe me, the guy was offside, but I'm sorry. And Tommy Bell said, I told you, I want you to, he said, I'm really sorry about that. I didn't get a number. So Tommy Bell, in the way he was, he said, no problem, I'll take care of it. He turned on the microphone and he said to 75,000 people at Arrowhead Stadium, offside on the defense. He's a rookie. He didn't get the number.
I don't know why I couldn't do that.
And at that point, Tommy Bell said, or Jerry Markwright said, I knew I was with like a great referee. I mean, he had demands of his crew, high expectations, and you better meet him or it'll be hell to pay. So, Bruce, did you just get on? Is Bruce Cronauer on? I actually see you here.
He is, Jim. He's gotten on, and Steve.
Yeah, I'm here, Jim.
Okay,
And
Bruce, can
Steve
you?
has
I'm
those
here.
privileges.
Okay,
I just pulled
I
off.
know you're an
81 in
hour
Virginia.
behind time in Tennessee, but can you give Steve Citro, the co-host, whatever you need to do?
Yeah, I just did, Jim. He's all set.
Okay, so Steve, can you whip up the PowerPoint I sent? We'll just kind of go through it quickly here. We're not going to hold folks. I'm one of those start on time, end on time people.
And I couldn't get on. What time is it there?
Hey, Jim, it's John again. You know,
Yes, John.
one thing that we need to be cautious of is using kind of slang terms, like he was giving them the business. I mean, I know we get a laugh out of that. A lot of guys have done that, but we should keep it professional, especially at the high school level, because you know people are recording us, and it just doesn't put us in a good light.
You're 100% right, John. I appreciate your saying that. You're spot on. Look, if we're professional and we go about our business the right way, we're going to get criticism anyway. Let's not add to that list. So, all right. So, Steve, if you can pop through this thing, and again, this will, I guess, be archived. So go ahead, Steve. All right. So we talked about that. And that's Bill Vinovich, who's had, I think, 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls. Highly, highly respected NFL official. So, all right, go ahead, Steve.
I couldn't get on. That thing was going.
Okay. Don't get cute. I think John just kind of alluded to that. Be informative, but be short and sweet. I called it clear and concise. It's the same concept. Okay. All right. Now here you see a picture of the great Jerry Markwright, and he wrote the book, so to speak, on microphone use. If you look on the left, get clear of players, find an open area quickly. Do not walk around like a zombie trying to find an open area, folks. There's a lot of open area on the field. I think what Bob Masucci says, if you can see the press box, they can see you. Okay? Be still. Somebody pointed that out tonight. Okay? Speak clearly and do not rush. Take your time. Okay? Use terms like offense, defense, kicking team. Examples, holding, offense, number 77, 10-yard penalty, replay second down. We talked about that. Okay, go ahead. All right. Using the mic. Do not turn to signal until your announcement is finished. Say the word down and penalty on each announcement. Don't say on the offense or that's a 10-yard penalty for holding. Just say holding 10 yards. Okay. Somebody mentioned tonight picking up your foul. I'm on the right side now. Okay. There is no foul for offensive pass interference. The pass did not cross the line of scrimmage. Okay. And that's, right there. Okay. Dead ball signal after the ball is dead. I think Jerry Picazio had pointed that out. Okay. That's when you use the hand up in the air. If you simply have a false start, folks, just give the rolling signal. False start, offense, 61, 5-yard penalty, replay third down. If there's a dead ball late hit after the play or a dead ball UNS or something like that, that's when you give the dead ball signal. You see here Jerry Markwright giving. Okay, Steve? This is just something I've tried to teach guys for a long time. If you're ever up in a press box and you have the opportunity to say, to see, okay, the referee make the ball ready for play. If you put your hand high up and chop it down, that's a way better optic, folks, than if you kind of, some guys like punch at the football. And that's a really bad look. I've never understood that. I'm sure you can visualize some guys like punch it, like is it almost like a right jab or a right hand or whatever. Don't do that. Start high, boom, come all the way down. And please, when you make the ball ready for play, please, referees, do not blow your whistle for 3 or 4 seconds. That is one of the more annoying things. I literally, I kid you not, folks. I worked with a guy in the ACC who, when he blew the ball ready for play, it was like a 3 to 4 second thing. I told him one time, Tom, I'm going to kill you the next time you do this. You're killing people with your whistle. Okay. So start high, blow whistle, chop down. Okay. If it's a first down and you're winding, it's just one motion. Do not chop and wind, just wind. Okay, Steve? Okay. Charge team out, that is, ram a post first. Team timeout of the second half, whatever the scenario would be. Okay. If we have to make an adjustment to the game clock, we usually do that through the O2O because we want to have a microphone. Okay. But these are all things in case something goes bad with the game clock on the scoreboard. Okay. Okay, Steve. Best practices. We tried to really cover those tonight. We're getting a lot of input from folks. Go ahead, Steve.
That's the end, Jim.
Yep. Okay. So as we wrap this up again, I want to thank everybody for going the extra mile tonight and kind of staying with us. We appreciate that very much. This was our, as Scott Campbell said, our last off-season training session. I think the grind of the football season is starting to, it's certainly approaching. Once again, I look forward to see as many folks as possible and hopefully meeting some new folks at Sayreville on August the 3rd. That's 2.5 weeks away. It seems hard to believe, but the season is quickly approaching. Hopefully everybody has a pretty good level of enthusiasm and looking forward to what I hope is a rewarding and successful season for each of you in the NJFOA. So thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it, and thanks for sticking it out with the less than ideal circumstances initially. So.
Yeah, thanks, Jim, for your presentation tonight. And listen, thank you for hanging in there. That's was a little rough, and we understand that. We apologize in advance, but I guess you could say this, Jim did a classic example of improvise, adapt, and overcoming. So he did a good job. So I appreciate it. And again, I appreciate everybody for staying on and participating. It still worked out. And if you got a little bit of something from it, then it was worth the money you paid tonight. So again, we appreciate it. So otherwise, everybody, thank you for your participation through the year, through the 8 series of sessions, and also best of luck during the season. Stay healthy and good luck.
Okay. Night, everyone. Thank you.